All right.
Hello and welcome to the Elderflower Podcast. This is a podcast. My name is Jessica Huckabee, and this is Leora with me. And we're starting off with a little discussion about Elderflower Womenspirit Festival, which is a festival, a 3.5 day festival that happens out in the woods in Mendocino, out in the redwoods. And it's been going on every year for over 3 decades, I think, at this point. And we both can probably tell some stories about our experience at Elderflower. And I had volunteered at last year's festival to start a podcast, as this is something that I've done in the past for several my own podcasts, and I've also started podcasts for other people and organizations. And Leora is the first volunteer to come on the show and have a conversation about Elderflower. And so, Leora, would you be willing to introduce yourself and share a little bit about your experience at Elderflower? Like, for example, when you first started going to Elderflower.
When I first started coming to Elderflower, I was still camping with a tent. And a lot of people got very concerned the next morning because there was a bear in the woods. But there was not a bear in the woods. I snored that badly that they thought a bear was in the woods.
This is such the perfect first story about Elderflower on the podcast. That's beautiful, Leora.
I adored it so much that but it was physically kind of, demanding, because I was in a tent, like I said, and we were pretty far from the outhouse. So that was fun.
Was camping camping wasn't part of your life? This is a new thing for you?
No, I love to camp, but unfortunately, when I started going to Elderflower, I had recently popped my back and didn't know about the Crohn and medical facilities. So I went with a friend, and we took my tent. And no, I camped a lot, just not in that recent period.
So then you found out, since then you found out that there are cabins and facilities for people who have health issues, specifically for Crohn's, who might have health issues, but really anyone who might have a health issue that makes camping on the ground in a tent difficult. Now, I can say that I also have camped in just the regular cabins. They don't have electricity, but it's off the ground. There's a nice cot. You can bring, bedding and make it pretty cozy too. So if you don't necessarily need the electrical stuff, you can be more comfortable than in a tent on the ground. But some people love that. So there's lots of different options. Yeah.
Lots of options. And the next year and the years preceding, I used the medical / Crohn cabin.
Okay.
Now there's two, right? There's a medical cabin and a Crohn cabin.
I'm not sure about that.
Or at least there was.
Yeah, there might very well be. Every time I've gone to Elderflower, I sleep in the quiet zone. So there's lots of different zones. So there's a 4-hour quiet zone for those who want to take naps in the day or want to be able to go to sleep at an earlier hour and sleep through the night without being disrupted by fellow campers having a good old time, right? So the other areas that aren't the quiet zone, there might be campers, having a party or, staying up
Right.
late talking at night. And, there is that quiet zone for people who really
Yeah.
get their sleep. So that's where I tend to camp.
Yeah. I found out not too long after I created the bear, that I had sleep apnea, and the next year I had to bring my medical equipment.
Gotcha.
But nobody had wasn't a big deal. And I started coming on Wednesday to help set up. It's very important at Elderflower that you participate. We can't just be a side, somebody who's just kind of going to the classes. It's more immersive than that. You become like a real sisterhood. And you watch as yourself becomes more open to spirituality, and you see how it changes other people too. It's really amazing.
So how many years have you attended Elderflower overall?
I'm trying to remember. I think from 25 to 42, maybe. I don't know. I was there a long time.
From your age of 25 to the age of 42.
I might have not remembered exactly the first time, but I was pretty young.
And did you go every year all throughout?
Yeah, I went every year. In fact, I was very instrumental in creating fundraisers for the scholarship fund, because unfortunately I was somebody who needed the scholarship fund. And it didn't make sense to me that we were such creative people that we didn't. I mean, we know that a lot of women, more than we want to admit, and especially Crohn's, don't have the resources to come, even with the amazingly inexpensive price.
It's half the price of most of these kinds of festivals.
No, it isn't. It's much cheaper.
It's maybe 30% or even a quarter of the price of some of these festivals that you see. And part of the reason for that is because it is so inclusive that everyone is invited to get involved. Anyone who shows up can offer up to 2 workshops, whereas a lot of these festivals, they have big name people, and those are the only people, or the established teachers are the only ones that get to teach a workshop. Whereas at Elderflower, anyone who comes can make a proposal and offer a workshop and get another chunk knocked off of their their tuition.
Yeah. And so then if you're Then if you're an artist, I don't know if it is still going on, but you had like booths, not tables, and you were able to everything from trading to actually giving to paying for it. And it was really lovely.
And because as far as I understand, that's very reasonable too. A lot of these big festivals, if you want to have a booth where you're selling something, myself, I'm a massage therapist. If I wanted to go and offer massage at these big festivals, it's very prohibitive. Like in order to make back the money you pay for your booth, you have to either sell a whole ton or give a whole bunch of massages. It's not really possible for me to give massages just to break even at a lot of festivals. And the same with artists who are selling their artwork or their crafted creations. Whereas at elderflower, they make sure that it makes it very actually
Easy.
profitable.
Yeah,
Easy
and profitable. Yeah, because I think the materials and the art and the craft, and it all centers around spirituality. And because of that, and okay, I made hats for a very long time. And I made witches' hats, and I made wizards' hats, and pie. I would bring a variety of hats, but the ones that would, inevitably sell out were the witches' hats. And I learned while I was making them that the history of witches' hats were very important, you know. Witches' hats are a vehicle. The reason they're pointed is they're vehicles for calling power. That, yeah, so it's kind of like a fountain. And you take the energy from Mother Earth and you shoot it up into the air so that, you make a cone of power. And that action, putting that hat on, meant so amazingly, when I first found that out, it was like, oh, that's why I'm doing it. That's why they have that. And it also helps another small problem. Not every summer is it warm. And I remember more than once having to wear my hat to bed.
So were you making a cone of power all night long as you were sleeping?
I may have. I don't know. I don't know.
Wow.
Possible.
Yeah, very, very, very likely. I mean, certainly it's powerful sleeping there out in the woods. For me,
Absolutely.
the experience of being next to the creek and the wind in the trees, but it's often very calm. I don't think I ever remember it being super windy or stormy or anything. If there's rain, it's like a mist, a misty rain. It's a very beautiful, peaceful place, the location where Elderflower is. And I'm glad you brought up the story of the witches' hats and the spirituality at Elderflower. Was feminine spirituality something you were into before you first came to Elderflower, or did Elderflower sort of educate you about that?
Well, I had so everyone has and this is really important at Elderflower, everyone has a path, right? So some people's path is Dianic, some are fairies, some are native. I mean, everybody has a path they follow, and none of them are wrong. I happen to follow the path of my ancestors, which is I'm a Jew witch, not just Jewish. And I was about 20 years old, 21, when I found out that, first of all, Hebrew has, like many other languages, male and female words, but they also have neutered words. And that's important because I had been Jewish without question, I'd say probably the first 19 years of my life. And then that period between 19 and 21, I learned that there are two very powerful names of the deity that are feminine. And they're not like passive names. Shekinah means breath or spirit. And it's not like the, I don't, we're, it's too long to explain. And then Shaddai means armor or breastplate. And yeah, they're not like passive names. There are passive names for God, but those aren't two of them.
Yes. Well, I mean, just from what you shared, the breath is what we all need to even be alive, right?
Exactly.
And then the breastplate or the armor, that's a, that's a warrior or a soldier's strength, right? And it brings up images of other goddesses or female
exactly
who were, powerful in those ways.
And I learned about, but I was studying the name went blank, and you will be able to say it. Aniki's sister, and I can't remember. I studied her for 3 years.
Inanna, do you mean?
Yes, Inanna. And I was studying Inanna, and I actually was able, through Inanna and through Kali Durga, to allow myself to embrace the word no, which is very difficult to do.
Yes.
And I would have never started that unless I was introduced to them through Elderflower. And I'm really grateful for that. Because when I get overwhelmed, I look at how many times I say sorry or yes to something I don't want to do. And no is a complete sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was trained from a little girl that, your job is to help. Oh, my job is to be me. Helping just happens as part of me, but I don't have to do it. So the nicest thing is the last year that I went was almost 18 years ago. And I had been given really horrible news. I was 42, and I had just seen my OBGYN for my annual. And she was reading the most current FHS, am I saying that right? Score. And she said, well, your score is very, very low. We're going to take you off your birth control because you don't need it anymore. And it's very highly unlikely that you will need birth control for pregnancy. And then I went to Elderflower. And there was a group of us that did the main ritual. We were doing Semitic deities, and everybody was supposed to write their wishes on a potato and stick the potato in the fire. And yeah, I wrote that I was sad and that, you know, if the world wanted me to be a crazy great aunt, I would be, but I really wanted a kid. And not even, I'd say 4 months later, I was irritable, hot all the time, sweating too much, biting people's head off, eating too much. And basically, I thought this was menopause. So I went to the OBGYN, and she hadn't given me my blood test yet. And she asked me to get up on the table, and she did an ultrasound, and she said, "Congratulations, I think. You are now, that's a 10-week fetus." I had not known I was pregnant. I thought it was menopause.
Wow.
And yeah, it was amazing. Wow. Absolutely amazing. And I came home and I called my family, but I didn't tell my father because my dad just he never met any of the people that I dated, and I didn't feel that that was a necessary thing for him. So I went up to where my brother lived for the holidays, and with the ultrasound, because by that time I was out of my first trimester, and I walked in, and my dad was sitting at the table, and I said, "Dad, I have a picture for you." And he goes, "Oh, I love your art." And I said, "I think you'll love this one even more." And I handed him the ultrasound, and he went, "What's this?" And I said, "What is it, Dad? You've seen enough of them." And he said, "It's an ultrasound." I said, "Yes." He goes, "Whose is it?" I said, "Read it." And he did, and he broke out in tears.
Oh.
Because no one in my family thought this was going to happen. And unfortunately, after I had her, she had a lot of health problems. She was born at 32 and a half weeks, and stayed in the NICU for almost the entire time before she was born. I mean, when she was supposed to be born. But my because she was in the NICU so long, and we really hadn't planned like any baby showers or anything. My Elderflower sisters got together and created a baby shower for me after her birth. And I got everything from her natal chart to quilts to sage, just all the things she needed as a little witchlet. Wow. And the best part of this whole story, and how I know it came from the goddess, she was born on Halloween.
Sour baby.
I was supposed to go to a circle that night, and she had other plans.
Yes, she did. Oh my goodness. Leora, what a wonderful story.
Yeah.
That potato with your wish for a baby in the fire to her being born on Halloween.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. And unfortunately, the sad part is while I wanted to bring her so badly to Elderflower, and she'd have a million laps and a whole bunch of, arms to hug her and grandmas and all of that. Because of her health, I couldn't. And then when she turned 4, my mother's health disintegrated like almost overnight. And I had to move back to Kansas where I grew up. And there's really not a big community there. And so a lot of it was solitary. And it's hard to teach your kid in solitary.
Have you been able to come back to Elderflower since then?
I have not. I want to very badly, but I've moved to Texas, not because I wanted to. And it has, I'm still trying to find permanent home.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well,
but I love my get-togethers once a month with Naomi and the astrology. I find it very meaningful and very important.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hopefully your path will bring you back to coming to Elderflower at some point, and perhaps even bringing your daughter.
Yeah, that would be great.
Wouldn't that be?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Leora, it's been lovely to chat with you and hear some of your stories about Elderflower. My hope with this podcast is that people who haven't heard of Elderflower, who might be looking for or perhaps curious, maybe they've haven't even considered going to a gathering of all women to celebrate the goddess, to be out in the woods, to celebrate nature, where it's all goddess oriented paths are welcome.
Right.
To participate and even create their own rituals and things like that. And so I'll be putting the link to find out more about Elderflower on the website in the description of the podcast, wherever you're viewing this, whether it's the video version on YouTube or the audio version on whatever podcast platform that you're seeing this on. We would love to invite you to check out Elderflower and perhaps join us. It's going to be usually the middle weekend in August, from Wednesday to Sunday every year. This year, 2023, it's August 9th through 11th, and it's usually around that time out in the redwoods, just outside the town of Mendocino. So
it's great. I love the redwoods so much.
And there's a lot of very devoted Elderflower sisters out there, and I'm hoping to continue to create episodes where we discuss our love of this particular festival and coming together and the community that we've created. I'm sure we'll be able to tell lots of stories. So thanks again, Leora, for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you, Leora, and your daughter, and anyone listening who becomes interested in Elderflower at the festival out in the redwoods sometime soon. All right.
Yep.
Take good care. That's all for now. Until next time.